Most people think hitting $1 billion is about buying yachts, private jets, or private islands. It's not. It's about triggering an alarm. Level 1, the number. You refresh your bank account. You do it again. 12 zeros stare back at you. You don't scream, you don't cry. You just sit there in your apartment, the one with the broken heater and the leaking faucet, and you stare at the screen. 3 days ago, your startup was worth nothing. Then a single wire transfer changed everything. The acquisition closed at $1.2 billion. Your lawyer called it a miracle. Your accountant called it generational. You called it unreal. The first thing you buy is not a car, not a mansion. You pay off your mother's house. You sit in silence for an hour after that. Then the phone rings. Private number. You answer. A voice, calm, measured, no accent you can place. Says 4 words. You've been selected. Congratulations. Then the call ends. You assume it's a prank. You go to sleep. In the morning, there's an envelope under your door. No stamp, no return address. Inside, a single black card. Embossed letters, no logo, no name. Just a date, a time, and an address in Zurich. Level 2, the flight. You almost don't go. You tell yourself it's insane. You tell yourself successful people don't follow mystery cards to Switzerland. Then you look at your account again, and you realize successful people do exactly that. You fly private for the first time. Not commercial business class, not a charter. A Gulfstream G700, just for you, no other passengers. The flight attendant hands you a glass of Chateau Petrus and doesn't speak unless spoken to. Somewhere over the Atlantic, you realize nobody knows where you are. You didn't tell your friends. You didn't tell your lawyer. Something about this felt like it required silence. You land in Zurich at 11 p.m. A car is already waiting. Black, tinted, no plates you recognize. The driver doesn't introduce himself. He drives for 40 minutes into the mountains. No music, no conversation. Just the sound of snow under tires and your own heartbeat. Then a building appears. It looks like it shouldn't exist. Old stone. No lights visible from outside. Surrounded by trees so thick you couldn't walk through them. The driver stops. He turns and says, "Leave your phone in the car." You hesitate. He doesn't repeat himself. You leave the phone. You step out into the cold, and the door to the building opens before you knock. Level 3, the room. Inside it's warm. Art on the walls that belongs in museums. Maybe it came from museums. 15 people are already seated around a circular table. No name cards, no introductions. You recognize 2 of them. One is a senator you've seen on CNN. The other is a tech founder whose face has been on the cover of Forbes 3 times. Neither of them acknowledge you. A man at the head of the table, older, silver hair, eyes like he's already heard every question you're about to ask, speaks. "You built something real. That's why you're here." He explains, without explaining very much, that this group operates outside of normal financial structures. They move capital before markets react. They shape narratives before news cycles begin. They've been doing it since before you were born, and they want new blood. Young minds, fresh builders, people who understand the new economy. He slides a document across the table. 1 page, dense text. At the bottom, the signature line. "You don't have to sign tonight," he says. "But most people do." You look around the room. Everyone is watching you. Not with pressure, with patience. That somehow feels worse. Level 4, the rules. You sign, not because you're naive, because you've already done the math. You spent 3 days researching from your hotel in Zurich before the meeting. What little you could find pointed in one direction. Every name loosely connected to this group had experienced either extraordinary success or disappeared from public life entirely. You chose to believe in the success side. The rules come in a second envelope delivered to your hotel at 5 a.m. the next morning. Rule 1, no public mention of the group, ever. Rule 2, when you receive an instruction, you act within 48 hours. Rule 3, your financial activity will be monitored, not to control you, to protect you. That's what the document says. Rule 4, you are now part of a communication system, encrypted, private. A device will be provided. Rule 5, there is no exit process, only evolution within the structure. You read Rule 5 twice. You tell yourself it's just legal language. You tell yourself that because it's easier. The device arrives 2 hours later. It looks like a normal phone. It is not a normal phone. That afternoon, your first message arrives. Buy 40,000 shares of a biotech company you've never heard of before market open tomorrow. No explanation. You do it. 3 days later, that company announces a breakthrough drug trial. The stock doubles overnight. You just made $4 million before breakfast. Your hands are shaking, but not from fear. Not yet. Level 5, the lifestyle. 6 months in, you are not the same person. You have a penthouse in Manhattan, an estate outside London, a villa in Cap Ferrat that you've visited exactly once. You have staff whose names you're still learning. Your net worth has crossed 2 billion. The group has been good to you, but the instructions are becoming more complex. It started with stocks. Then it was, attend this dinner and make sure this person feels important. Then, withdraw from this investment publicly. Make noise about it. You don't always understand why. You've stopped asking. The man with the silver hair, you now know his name, though you'd never say it in public, tells you over a call in Monaco that understanding is for outsiders. Insiders execute, he says. That's the difference. You laugh. He doesn't. You stop laughing. Your old friends have noticed something is different. You've canceled plans 7 times in 2 months. You don't talk about your work anymore. You have nothing you're allowed to say. One night, your closest friend since college sits across from you in a restaurant in New York, leans forward and asks, "Are you okay?" You say yes. You say it too fast. Level 6, the wait. 1 year in, the instructions have crossed a line. You knew it the moment you read it, and you read it 6 times hoping you'd misunderstood. Ensure the city council vote fails. Use whatever leverage is necessary. Whatever leverage. You know what that means. You've watched others in the group do it. A rumor here. A photograph there. A well-timed financial crisis for someone who was in the way. Nobody gets physically hurt. That's what you tell yourself. But lives get dismantled. Quietly, surgically, without fingerprints. You do it. The vote fails. A development project dies. 400 affordable housing units. Gone. You don't sleep well for 2 weeks. The group sends a commendation through the encrypted device. Excellent execution. Loyalty noted. You stare at those words for a long time. You've started noticing things. A car that parks outside your building too consistently. A new member of your household staff you didn't personally hire. A conversation with your lawyer where he referenced something he shouldn't have known. You say nothing. You smile more in public now. Smiling is armor when you don't know who's watching, and someone is always watching. Level 7, the fracture. 18 months in, another new member joins the group. Young, brilliant, reminds you of yourself. You watch them sit at that circular table for the first time. You watch their eyes. The same mix of awe and calculation you once had, and something breaks open inside you. Because you remember who you were before the black card, before Zurich, before the device, before whatever leverage is necessary. You remember your mother's house. You paid it off, but you haven't visited in 4 months. She stopped asking why. That silence is its own kind of verdict. You begin doing something dangerous. You begin thinking about leaving. You research quietly, carefully, on devices they don't know about. What you find is not encouraging. 3 former members that you can trace and went quiet at key moments. One had a mental breakdown publicly documented enough to discredit anything he might say. One relocated to a country with no press freedom and seems to have rebuilt a life there. One died in a sailing accident off the coast of Greece. He was 41. He was an excellent sailor. You close the laptop. You sit in the dark for a long time. Level 8, the mirror. 2 years in, you are one of the most powerful people in the room now. New members look at you the way you once looked at the silver-haired man. With awe, with caution, with ambition, you are worth $4 billion. You have access to things that cannot be described in polite conversation. You have influence over systems that most people don't even know exist. And you are completely, utterly alone. Not alone without people. Alone without trust. There is nobody on earth you can fully speak to. Not your family, not your staff, not the other members, because in this room, everyone is always playing a longer game. One night at an event in Singapore, you see a photo on someone's phone. It's you, taken through a window, from outside your own penthouse. The person whose phone it is doesn't know you saw it. You smile. You raise your glass. Your hand does not shake. You are well past shaking. Final level, the invitation. 3 years in, a new envelope arrives. Same black card, same embossed letters. But this time, I'd no date, no address. Just a name. Someone's name. and below it, a single line. This person is becoming a problem. Handle it. You read it once. You set it down. You walk to the window and look out at a city that has no idea you exist in the way you do. And you understand now, fully, completely, without any room for illusion, this was never about the money. The money was the door. But the room behind the door? That's a different thing entirely. You pick up the card again. You think about the sailor off the coast of Greece. You think about your mother's silence. You think about the new member at the table, young, brilliant, watching you with awe. And you make a decision. You just haven't decided yet which one. The device lights up on the table. One word on the screen. Well, you exhale slowly. You pick up the encrypted phone. And somewhere in Zurich, a silver-haired man smiles. Because he already knows your answer. He knew it before you did. He always does. The cycle doesn't end. It just finds new people to carry it. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next room.